We are here. We are live post game. It is the post game reaction show. Caesar, Auburn falls 24-17. My original prediction for this game was 21-17 Oklahoma. I knew it would be somewhere in that range. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack from this one. Welcome on in, guys. Jump on in. I know you guys will be piling in here as the game is ending right now, but Auburn goes down to Oklahoma 21-17 in a really disappointing loss. There were throws left on the field. There were questionable play calls, but most of all, there was questionable officiating in this one. Can't help but think that the 7 points erased off the board for Auburn initially on the fumble could have been the difference in this one. Non-calls on pass interferences, lots and lots of non-call penalties here by these officials. I almost don't even know where to start with this. Your initial thoughts here. We're gonna get to you guys, the viewers here. I definitely want to hear from you guys. But Caesar, this is a tough one. This is a tough one to swallow.
Yeah, because Auburn.
Brother, your mic is like, I don't know, might be your. We're gonna bring Dustin in here while Caesar sorts out his mic. Dustin, this was a tough one, man. This was a tough one for Auburn fans to swallow here. 24-17, two really, really good defenses. These are two of the SEC's best defenses, I got to say. But two calls stood out to me that made the difference in this game. The overturn on the fumble, return for a touchdown, and the non-call on the illegal substitution, which the SEC officiating, the network officiating point of contact during the broadcast says you can't do that, man. You can't pretend like you're going out and stay in. That violates the spirit of that rule. Look, talk to me, man. I don't think this one played out. A lot of the Oklahoma fans bragging in our comments is absolutely did not play out the way they thought it was going to play out. This was tough. Auburn made it hell on them today. Neither team could run the ball. How you feeling?
I mean, y'all know that I kind of shy away from the homer stuff and call it like it is. I really do try to be objective here. So starting off, too many mistakes on special teams for Auburn. It's continued to be a theme. It was a theme last year. It's a theme again today. You kill yourself. You put your defense in a bad position with whatever in the world that punt attempt was. Hey, guess what? You missed another field goal. Surprise, surprise. Rayshawn Pleasant tries to run one out, and you get a freaking holding penalty trying to run it out, and you back your. I mean, just the special teams is just it's an F- for the year. I can't put into words how pathetic it's been. Okay, and it's been bad. It's been really bad outside of McPherson for the first 3 games of the season, and we've always said if Auburn makes those mistakes versus the SEC competition, special teams will cost you. And so, like, they're second. Obviously, you can't take double-digit sacks and expect to win a game on the road. You're holding the ball too long. Also, there was times when the O-line was just getting blown up, especially when Dude came in the second half. That kid's a monster, right? The kid that was out in the first half for targeting. All that being said, Mike, about the calls, it just feels like Auburn got hosed. Look, yes, every game you can go back and point to and say, like, your team could have done this or you could have done that better, because it's very rare that a college football team plays a perfect game. No one's ever going to play a perfect game. I knew we were in trouble with that 14-point swing where they took an obvious touchdown off the board for the defense. Obvious. You made the right call on the field. And I don't even want to hear that it was close. It wasn't close. Clearly a catch, clearly a fumble, clearly a touchdown. Not even remotely close. The fact that you reviewed that makes me wonder if the screw job was in from the beginning, because even reviewing that is idiotic. Not even close. Then the missed call on the touchdown, it's just more of the same. That's a 14-point swing. I knew this was going to be a close ball game. We knew it was going to be a one-possession ball game, a rock fight. And surprise, surprise, SEC officials F it up and can't get it right. And here's the part that's disappointing. Jackson Arnold's going to have to step to the podium now and answer questions. Hugh Freeze is going to have to step to the podium and answer questions. And these goofy-ass officials are going to walk right out without explaining any of their bull crap. It's pathetic. And guess what? You turn on Missouri and South Carolina. I'm sure you'll see 15 bad calls. It's just so ridiculous. And it's just beyond frustrating. I think that the narrative that went around nationally all week that Auburn didn't belong in this game and that Oklahoma was going to blow Auburn out. I have there's a lot of positive takeaways from the Auburn standpoint. You show that you belong. You show that you can beat anybody. You got to clean up the mistakes on special teams. But again, when officials make go back to South Carolina and LSU last year. South Carolina beat LSU. The officials decided that they didn't. And today, the officials decided that Oklahoma was going to beat Auburn. Look, I think that catch was a catch, but here's my issue. I watched all these games throughout the SEC all week, and in half the games, that's called incomplete because he didn't maintain possession. And then this one was just, when are we ever going to get a review? When is it ever going to go our way? Mike, that was, honestly, one of the worst officiated games I have ever seen in my life. Completely pathetic.
Yeah, I'll say this. There were calls both sides, but it felt like the more critical calls went against Auburn.
The game changers went against Auburn.
Yeah, the fumble, I don't get. Again, I get that it's a judgment call on the illegal substitution, and maybe really, really tough to call, but that's what you get paid to do, man. You get paid to make that call, and in both those cases, it helped Oklahoma, in the fumble, it took points off the board. That was potentially a 10-point swing. And then they scored on the subsequent drive because, you gave them the illegal substitution, right? I don't now, mind you, if you're Auburn, as you pointed out, you can't, the low snap, it's the details. It's the minor details that separate good teams from great teams. And, I don't think he had an errant snap the rest of the game, but the one you did have led to a turnover on downs deep in your own territory that led to points for them. So I don't know, man. Look, that young man that made that snap, whatever Hugh Freeze's punishment is, the boards, pushing boards or running hills, he needs to be doing all that. If you want to be good in this league, you've got to be better than that. Caesar, I want to get to the comments here. Jump in here. Tell me, man, what did you see out there?
Despite the terrible officiating, Auburn had a chance to win this game.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to be on the minds of those players, the minds of the coaching staff heading back to Auburn. Is you still, despite the odds, despite the terrible officiating, despite all of that, you had an opportunity. You were there at the end of the game, and there were missed opportunities in the second half that would have put Oklahoma in a situation where they would have been clawing from behind to win this game. And Auburn did not take advantage of that. You had a dream scenario as a QB to hit Cam Coleman, who was running wide open.
Yeah, that was a miss.
Wide open. Just put it on him. You don't have to lead him. Put it on him. If his catch radius can't catch that, you're too juiced up. And and that's one of the things that, again, you credit Oklahoma for being an amazing defense. They are. Impressive defense. Impressive how they held Auburn's run game under 100 yards. But you were still there. And you still had the opportunities. And I think that's what this coaching staff has to deal with and regroup with this team going back. You were there. You have to begin to capitalize off of those opportunities. And you're going to have to hold your poise in these moments as well. We saw an implosion offensively, whether it's the O-line with penalties or just the offense in general. You have to hold your poise in these moments. That's what championship teams are made of. You can't implode under those circumstances. Yes, I agree with everything Dustin said, because two things can absolutely be true.
Yeah,
that was some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. But despite it all, Auburn still had a chance to walk out of here undefeated and miss those opportunities.
Yeah, look, I agree with everything you guys are saying here. You had an opportunity to win the game. You didn't. You had an opportunity to do a lot of things here, like multiple misses on Cam Coleman running free. That could have been, the first one could have been an 80-yard touchdown, right? The last one, I think, would have been a TD as well, too. Definitely would have been a TD because it was in the end zone. He overthrew it. But it's hard. I didn't expect perfection from Jackson Arnold in this football game. When it comes down to it, guys, Jackson Arnold handled himself well on the road, I thought. 21 of 32 passing in this one. John Mateer didn't fare much better. He was 24 of 36. Right, he had 3 more completions on 4 more throws, and he racked up a few yards there. But ultimately, you held another P4 team under 100 yards rushing. Auburn only gave up 32 yards rushing in this football game. The numbers look a little worse on Auburn's side because sack yardage is counted against the rushing totals. So only 67 yards on the ground for Auburn. But we knew points and yards were going to come at a premium in this one. I didn't have any delusion that Auburn was going to run this up to the 30s. I had them capped at 24. And had they gotten the touchdown that they took off the board for them, they would have been right at 24. And this football game, I don't know. It's there are a lot of what ifs, but hey, let's get to the comments here. I know you guys are dying to get in here. Doing stuff with Daddy says false start. Too many penalties, man. Too many penalties. Sonita says I'm just pissed for multiple reasons. You got a right to be upset. Doing stuff with Daddy again. Jackson Arnold proved his critics correct. He can't really throw. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. I think that he hit some and he missed some. Now, it sucks because some of the ones he missed were definitely like wide open.
Critical.
Yeah, it's just juice, man. I think he was just juiced up. But, he hit some as well, too. So I don't know. I mean, if he doesn't hit those throws, Auburn gets run off the field in this football game. So I have to respectfully disagree. Was he perfect? No, I didn't think he would be perfect. But
my biggest complaint is the obvious one. He just holds on to the ball way too long.
Yeah,
that's the obvious one.
I'll be interested to see what Ike says, Caesar, on the watch the film here, because I mean they were blanketing the receivers, and I know they called out one to Malcolm Simmons. I talked about this at halftime that they said he had a step, and it was like okay, but like a quarter of a step. I don't know. I still would have taken a really good, perfect throw, in my opinion. So I'm not blaming him for not pulling the trigger on that one. But certainly there are other throws out there that he could have pulled the trigger on. Just like KP says, straight BS. I hope they use this as poster material. Look, man, the 2013 team had a loser game before they figured it out. So, is this the game? That was on the road at LSU. And they came back to win a lot of games that season. I saw a lot of potential in this Auburn team today.
I'm with you on that, Mike. I don't, we're frustrated that we lost, but I mean, this Auburn team showed me a lot of positives as well. And you go into A&M and win next week, you're 4-1. Like, and in this day and age of college football, a loss just doesn't hurt you the same way. Like Auburn's goals and what we thought preseason are all still in front. And again, Auburn proved they can play with anybody today. I think this might be the best defense Auburn faces the rest of the year. Yeah, Auburn can still win a lot of football games, man. As frustrating as this was today, Auburn can still win a lot of games.
Yeah, agreed. Look, I've been adamant since the beginning. You only need to go 1-3 in this next 3-game stretch, and then you.
I agree with you 100%.
Right? Yeah, these are the toughest 3 games Auburn is going to see all year, and they gave me hope that they could go on the road and get one at A&M if the refs don't do what they did today. Let's see here. Ben Bloodworth, our last drive was a masterclass and awful. What on earth was that? Look, man, at the end of the game, you're tired. They were going to get after him on that last drive. No way they were going to let Jackson Arnold hang back there and play pitch and catch with Cam Coleman. R. Mason Thomas showed up, by the way. Like he was a factor late in the game in the second half. Their best player on defense.
I would have liked to have seen that type of pressure when it was 17-16 and Oklahoma had I would have liked to have seen Auburn come after Mateer like that.
Yeah, look, they were hurrying him, but they just couldn't get to him the way they were getting to Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
They just couldn't do it. So it was tough. I think it was tough, but hey, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's see here. Frankie Free says, let me say this, with a front seven like that and O-line being shaky, I don't get the constant shot plays when we have elite receivers that can rack up yak with drags and slants on short crossing patterns. I'll say this, I did think that they could have called plays that got the ball out of Jackson Arnold's hands faster. So for everybody out there saying, oh, he holds on to the ball too long, some of those plays take time to develop.
Yeah.
And if he's not seeing it, or you're putting him in a position to hold on to the ball, man. I thought they could have. I mean, I was like, dude, do we have a screen in the playbook? Anything to kind of get them when they over pursue to kind of get them off balance. I thought there was. I wasn't upset with the play calling today, but I thought there could have been a little bit more balance in some of the concepts that they ran today. Ultimately, look, man, I was glad to see Cam Coleman just get the damn ball, man. Yeah, that was fun. That was definitely fun to watch. Dwayne says, I can't but help feel robbed. I think a lot of Auburn fans are going to feel robbed at this one. There are definitely a lot of plays that are going to be sent to the SEC office by this Auburn coaching staff. Look, man, I talk to Greg Sankey every media days and every tournament, and I'm going to ask him about officiating here. This was the officials made themselves too much of the storyline today. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. Exclusive TV $4.99. Let's keep it real, hard fought game. But if Jackson Arnold doesn't overthrow those wide open passes, we win. We had multiple chances to end it, but I'm still proud. Yeah, look, man, that's the imperfectness that is Jackson Arnold. I will not sit here and pretend like he didn't miss those wide open throws. I posted those up just like I posted his TDs and great plays today. I mean, some fantastic throws. He gave Cam Coleman a chance to catch most of them, but in a game that was going to be as hard fought as this one, it's always the couple that you miss that are going to be remembered. That's it, because that's the margin for error when you have two defenses this good. I think these are the two best defensive teams in the league, honestly. I mean, they held Oklahoma to fewer rushing yards than they did Baylor.
Yeah, we're 4 games in, and I think we can confidently say this Auburn defense can shut down the run.
Yeah. Remember, people were freaking out about the DBs.
Know that for fact.
All the freak out about the DBs. John Mateer did not go wild in this football game. He didn't.
No. Right.
I'm like, man, under 300 yards passing for that guy. Only 1 TD through the air.
Yeah. How many rushing yards did Oklahoma finish with?
32. 32.
Yeah, we can shut down the run.
Yeah. Like, but the question was, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought he would run up the yards, just not the points. He didn't do either. So I don't know. Mateer ain't ish. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Auburn maybe. I don't know that every team has the dogs to do what Auburn did to Oklahoma today.
Right.
But these might be the 2 best defensive teams in the league right now. That's including Georgia after what I saw Tennessee do to them. So. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Hugh Freeze has done a good job stacking talent, but Oklahoma has too, man. Everybody's trying to get better. Ambitious Engineer says can't call the catch in the first quarter incomplete, then turn around and call the play in the first quarter.
This is my point. Absolutely. Yeah. You have to be, and this is something Ike argued about in basketball. You have to, this is a very similar scenario. I tweeted about it. The guy did a similar thing going to the ground in the first quarter, in the first half, and they called it an incomplete. If you even said that he was down, I wouldn't be as upset, but that was a completed pass. So you can't do the same thing similar on the back end and call it a catch. Like you have to call them if it's a catch or an incomplete consistently. Like that's what pisses me off about that call, is that it's a similar situation and you did the complete opposite thing.
Yeah, one thing I'm tired of hearing, Caesar, is I'm tired of hearing the lie about you have to have indisputable evidence to change the call on the field. That's the biggest load of horse crap, because I see it overturned all the time despite there being indisputable evidence. I thought it was a clear fumble. Again, I was shocked it was even reviewed, and then to review it for 8-9 minutes like they did, it's just what is a catch? I find myself asking, does the SEC officials know what a catch is?
Are we going to act like officials don't wait for a player to fall out of bounds to determine if he had possession the whole way through? We're going to act like that's not a thing, that refs haven't done that? And I don't know what a catch is.
On the defensive touchdown, if they would have called it incomplete on the field, then I would have agreed with you don't have enough evidence to overturn it. I don't know how you review that and say you have enough evidence to overturn it that was clearly incomplete. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, I just want to spit some stats here before we get back to comments. Jackson Arnold, 21 of 32 for 220 yards. That's 6.9 yards per throw, 1 touchdown. Oklahoma's John Mateer, 24 of 36 for 271 and 7.5 yards per throw, 1 TD. We all know which TD that was. On the ground, a pathetic 1.9 yards per rush for Auburn because of the sack yards. But Oklahoma 1.2 yards per rush. So neither team was moving the ball. That is an absolute crazy stat, man. Isaiah Satenga, the third, 9 catches for 127 yards and a TD. Cam Coleman, only 3 catches, but for 88 yards and a TD. So Satenga got 3 times as many catches, but there were some missed opportunities out there for them to hit Cam where he would have been like up at 120 yards if he catches that TD pass that Jackson Arnold overthrew in the end zone, potentially the difference in the game. Let's get back to some comments here. Riley Mobley says, what the hell was Jackson Arnold doing? I mean, you have 3 seconds to get rid of the ball. There is no way all this falls on the O-line either. I'm going to agree with you. You have to give the expectation could not be perfection for the Auburn O-line. You got to get rid of the football. We talk about time to throw so much on this channel, guys. After 2.5 seconds, if your name is not Cam Newton or Joe Burrow, it's usually a disaster. That's it. He made a few plays with his legs, but Oklahoma wasn't giving up crap up the middle. They called way too many QB draws in this game for my liking.
On first down, too.
It was not working. It had no chance of working. Not in this game. These run defenses were for real. I thought we could get a little bit more creative. They had success getting the ball to the backs out of the running field. Damari had a good swing pass to the top. They got 10 yards easily. I thought they could have done a better job getting the ball in the hand of the running backs in the passing game. But like I said, we're nitpicking here because I still think this was a really good showing by Auburn on the road in enemy territory. Most interested, even the Auburn haters will admit after this one that the officials played a role in what we saw. Riley Mobley, appreciate the comment here. D. Lev says Oklahoma won't be in the playoffs. I disagree with that one. I said the winner of this one will make the playoffs. I think Oklahoma makes the playoffs. I think Auburn is just that good defensively. A lot of Oklahoma fans were thinking Oklahoma would win this because bad Jackson Arnold. That was their reasoning. That guy didn't show up. The guy that did show up, completed multiple passes from his own end zone for 40 or 50 yards. He just isn't the guy. He wasn't. I don't think he was scared in this one. I just think this is a really tough defense, man. And I don't think the play calling helped him much in spots. Right? In spots. There were some really good play calls out there. And he missed some opportunities, but they missed some opportunities as well as a coaching staff. Exclusive TV says we win with the calls if Jackson Arnold hits those passes. I agree. Look, man, that's the margin of error is that thin. TZ Kick says, and with all that, if Jackson Arnold makes one of those deep shots, we win. Man, you guys are paying money to repeat this thing, and we can play every single one of them up. Yes, I agree. Look, I'm going to bring in Logan Fowler, senior writer at thewarreport.com. Logan, thanks for joining us, man, on the live stream. Frustrating one out there. I want to give you the floor for about 2 minutes here, man. What did you see? What frustrated you? There were a lot of storylines in this one.
Yeah, certainly a lot to choose from. You can take your pick at the 10 sacks or the penalties or the missed opportunities downfield. So I can't necessarily single out one. But look, like I said, man, the opportunities for Auburn to win this game were there. You can't blame it strictly on Jackson Arnold for missing Cam Coleman on a couple of would-be touchdowns. You can't blame it strictly on the officials for missing some controversial calls. Okay, those were huge. I know they were huge, but again, there were missed opportunities from Auburn in this ball game that could have put the Tigers in sole position to win this game. I think the most frustrating thing to me offensively was obviously the run game. There was no run game tonight. Why? I don't know. Look, Oklahoma sold out against the run, right? We knew they were going to do it. We knew they were going to try to make life uncomfortable for Jackson Arnold in the pocket. But again, in the third quarter, you give the ball to Jeremiah Cobb and he breaks loose for a 44-yard touchdown, and then you abandon the run on the next 3 plays. You get 2 bad throws and you get a penalty back to you up to a 50-yard field goal and you miss it. And you know that you have struggles in the kicking game. You know what I mean? So play calling at times today was a little bit questionable for me. Again, there's just so many things that you can't really put your finger on one, but the opportunities were there for Auburn to win this game. And
yeah, I agree with you. I said it earlier. Play calling was sus in spots, but the purpose of play calling is to create opportunities, and they did create some opportunities that were missed. Some big throws missed by Jackson and Arnold out there. For every one he hit, there was another one that was missed, but they were huge misses, man. One for Cam Coleman, wide open in the end zone. That's probably the most egregious one. There was another one up the sideline that he missed that Cam dived for and didn't get. I can't say he would have walked into the end zone, but if he catches it in stride, he's got a shot to outrun the defender there to the end zone. So, look, lots going to be looked back on this one and regretted. But you've got 2 more SEC opponents, one on the road, one at home. If you win a lot, you can put this one behind you quickly by beating A&M in College Station. Going to be a tough task, but Auburn has done that. So I saw an imperfect team versus Notre Dame, even in a win. Name cannot be blank says, on paper, folks will say officiating was even, maybe skewed towards Auburn, but anyone who watched knows better. Tough to overlook Jackson overthrowing Cam for 2 TDs. Guys, I won't. Yes, I agree with this. This is going to be said probably 100 more times in our comments before we get off. However, I want to tell you, there were a bunch of non-call holds on Oklahoma out there. They were getting to Jackson Arnold, and I'll give them credit. We knew their pass rush was going to be hell. But guys, I was like, they're holding our guys on the defensive line. It was clear on some of those completions that Mateer had where he had that extra second. I'm like, where is the hold?
They had a big third down where they were basically choking K'Ron Crawford. He killed Buddy around the side, and they just grabbed him. And and look, I want to be clear here. Like Caesar said, 2 things can be true at once. Okay, Auburn did a lot of stuff to beat themselves, and the officiating was pathetic. It's not all in one basket on the, like, both things can be the case. And they were today.
Let me see here. Chris Culverhouse with the super chat. If we missed your comment again, buddy. We appreciate that. Sometimes that super chat can be tricky. It's easy to send it without the comment. Big Homie says, with better QB play, we would have won this game. Oh man, I don't think you can put this all on the QB. I think probably the most underrated bad play of the game was the bad snap on the punt. That led to, and then Hudson Cock thought he was Malcolm Simmons for a second, thought he was going to juke a defender. That led to the turnover on downs, that led to the Oklahoma touchdown. If they don't get the ball deep in their territory, I don't know that they put up points there. So that probably is the most egregious. It doesn't stand out because it's not a touchdown pass, but it led directly to points for Oklahoma. So, this defense, they played their asses off today, guys. I don't know how else to say it. That was a hard 22 points they had to grind out versus Auburn defense today. Exclusive TV says, O-line, come see me after the game. Man, they had a tough task. I can't stress enough, man. Oklahoma is just good defensively. I think they're the best defense in the league. I think Auburn is really close. I think these are 2 best defenses in the league. Doing stuff with Daddy says, my hat is off to our defense. They really stepped up against this year's Heisman. He didn't run wild. I thought he would have a better game than what he did, but he looked mortal out there versus Auburn. I mean, dare I say, the same way 2019 Joe Burrow looked mortal versus Auburn. LSU ran up the score on everybody that year but Auburn. So this defense is really, really good. It was said during the broadcast that DJ Durkin feels like this is his best D yet. So that's high praise coming from him. He's coached some good ones. Mr. Gibson says Freeze needs to spend some NIL on the refs. funny. SMI7H, pessimistic take, but if we lose 2 out of the next 2, 3, the 3, do you fire, freeze, and have to restart all of this? No, I don't. I've said from the beginning, the goal is beat Baylor and get one of your first 3. That's it. Everything is still in front of you if you're Auburn. And you didn't get run off the field today, so let's not overreact and act like they don't have any chance going into College Station, because that Texas A&M defense isn't anywhere near as good as the one Auburn saw today in Oklahoma. They held Alabama to 3 points last year.
I don't think Georgia's is either, Mike.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think these are the 2 best defenses in the league. Big Homie Lander says we could have beat OK and the refs, but 10 sacks, whatever Hugh was trying to call to close the game, defense failing at the end of the game, nothing has changed. Does Jackson Arnold have any sense of time? I put this more on play calling than I do on Jackson Arnold. Like, you had to have some quick strike options that get the ball out of his hands quickly. And if you don't, then if everything requires the defensive line to block for 3 seconds, you're going to be in trouble against a defense like this. This is my thought. The sacks number is going to be a little misleading because some of them were kind of created by, you know what I'm saying, Logan? Like it was 10 sacks, but it wasn't like 10 sacks. Yeah. It was Jackson Arnold taking off and they kind of counted it as a sack. Appreciate the comment, Big Homie Lander. Chris K, member for 55 months, man. Good grief. Give Cam Coleman a chance to be a playmaker on that final drive. Yeah, look, I mean, characters made a lot
of chance to get anything going on that final drive because it was derailed by penalties from the start, from the kickoff return. Which, why in the world? Look, I know Rayshawn Pleasant is probably the most dangerous kick returner in the country, one of, if not the. But with how Auburn has played on special teams, on kickoff returns, especially dating back to last season, in that moment, that's got to be a coaching decision. Like, hey, let's start this drive at the 25-yard line and not take a chance at putting ourselves inside our own 10 like they did. And then you move the ball up, you're steadily moving the ball, boom, false start, holding, you're back inside your own 15-yard line. It never had a chance to get going on that final drive.
Yeah, agreed. NH 34-25. This game reminds me of 2017 Clemson loss when Stidham got sacked 11 times and had other issues. They lost 14-6 that day, but calling out special teams, we shouldn't have ran it out of the end zone. We never got called for holding, big mistakes. Malcolm Simmons' decision to field it deep in his own end zone was a bad one. I thought maybe after last week we might see some Bryce Kane at punt return. But yeah, like, again, the details, man, got you beat in this one. I'm telling you, the small decisions like this, special teams, if you're Auburn, right, think about this. You miss that 55-yarder, you give them the ball nearly at midfield, or 50-yarder, or I think it was close to 50 yards. And man, I don't know. McPherson came in to make a short field goal, but not having a kicker who can kick a long one definitely is killing you if you're Auburn. Let's see here. Let's keep going down the line. Heavy says, proud of the team. Oklahoma got more calls. They got the most important ones. I think that's the story here, is they got the most important ones. Darius Lee, appreciate the super chat. All the sacks wasn't on the O-line. Jackson holds the ball too long. Auburn still wins 9, though. A good game, OU referees. Yeah, I can't stress enough. Auburn needs to go back to the drawing board and take a look at the play calling down the stretch and the positions that they put Jackson Arnold in. I thought they could have done a better job calling stuff that, quick read and get the ball out of his hands to neutralize the rush some. If that's not in the playbook, that's a tough look. Eric Pearson, under the circumstances, I think Jackson did the best he could. War Damn Eagle. That's exactly where I'm at. Cleveland Brown, this gives me 2017 Clemson vibes, but even then, Auburn managed to remain relevant in the playoff conversation. Then we can do it now. It ain't over. I agree 100% with that statement. This is disappointing because it's your first loss, but you still have a chance to come back and do some things here. Then Bloodworth, if I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm writing that penalty check and calling those refs out by name in the presser.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, the explanation, because DJ Durkin, from what I understand, was running to get a timeout on the fake illegal substitution thing that Oklahoma pulled. Because when I saw it, I was like, how in the name of SEC football could Auburn blow a coverage that badly? Nobody was out there. And then when they started explaining it, I'm like, oh, okay, like Oklahoma cheated. that's how they got a guy that open. Johnny H, how many times are we going to call a design QB run on first downs? Is this our new Wildcat? I was very, very frustrated with the amount of times they called QB run in this game. I just don't think it ever really had a chance of working. They're just too good against the run. But same for Auburn. Auburn was just too good against the run. 1.2 yards rushing. That's all Oklahoma got here, man. I didn't expect them to abandon the run, but the QB run, I just didn't think it was going to work. Chris K says the lack of truly utilizing the running backs when they are showing 5 to 6 in the box due to Freeze wanting to throw first. Man, a lot's going to be questioned here. I can't wait. Ike's going to jump in here in the post game and tell us what Freeze had to say. I'm sure that question was asked. NH 3425 can't be an incomplete pass when you move upfield. I hope they play this on SportsCenter. I hope that this gets talked about again and again and again, and the spotlight is shown on that call so they get it right. I don't get it, man. I don't know how the SEC office doesn't jump in there and be like, guys, that's a fumble.
Hey, your guy Brooks Austin, we know how big of an Auburn fan he is. He's saying that Auburn got hosed today. Aaron Murray, we know how big a fan he is of Auburn. He just tweeted out that Auburn got hosed today by the refs. So
yeah. Tough for sure. I see Ike in there. I'm not sure if he's ready because I don't see his camera. Let's see here. Gifted 5 Warpore memberships by Cleveland Brown. We appreciate that, helping us grow our Green Name gang. Heavy says it could be worse. We could be Clemson.
They're in trouble, man.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Right after Devin Sweeney just made the comments about get me out of here if you don't want to win, too. That was
yeah. Wow. Exclusive TV comes back and says, old coach once told me, play through adversity, give damn how tired you are. That's why we work in the spring and fall for moments like this. Yeah, character was going to be shown. Jackson Arnold had a chance to become a legend on that last drive. Sherman Sawyer, when Auburn was up 17-16, I thought the defense was going to go after Mateer because Auburn had a long offensive drive and the defense had a lot of rest. Man, so many things to be questioned here. Bo Bonner.
Go ahead. The worst part about Auburn's secondary today was how well they played until that last drive. And, they just didn't hold up on that last drive. With the obviously Auburn kind of got hosed with the overturned sideline catch, which if you go by the same ruling, I don't understand how in the world it's a catch.
Yeah.
But anywho, the Auburn defensive secondary played outstanding today, and I don't think you can base that whole performance off of that one drive.
Agreed. We're going to bring Ike Jones in here live from Norman, Oklahoma. Bo Bonner, want to thank you for becoming a member. Ike, you went to the post game. Talk to us, man. What did Hugh Freeze have to say after this one?
Of course, he was just expressing how it was a missed opportunity, right? Like they had their chances to be able to do what they needed to do in this game, but too many mistakes on Auburn's part, particularly in special teams, putting them in the hole on drives, and then a lot of penalties. So they feel as if the things that they have to fix are fixable, and they let one slip away in this one for sure.
Was he asked any? I'm sure he can't comment on the officials, but
he was asked, and he was like, "Let me shut up." Okay. He literally was like, he started to answer a question, and he was like, "I better shut up." Yeah, and he went into an explanation of what he was told on a couple of plays, but it was clear he was not specifically about the Isaiah Satania touchdown, where he looked as if he had checked out. Hugh Freeze was trying to call a timeout. They not only didn't call the penalty, but they didn't grant him a timeout. And he was just like, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they say when we send that play in.
Look, it was it was a hard day for every team running the ball. Was he asked about any specific play calls? Anything out there that stood out? Jackson Arnold had a few overthrows that were missed opportunities to Cam Coleman. Glaring one, definitely would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold actually addressed the Cam Coleman one. He was just like, look, I got to keep it in bounds for him. And, that's a touchdown, and we're celebrating on that. As far as play calls are concerned, there was a lot of questions about whether or not they abandoned the run too much. And he was like, actually, a lot of the throws that they had were RPO calls. So the run was available to them, and Jackson went with the pass. And so I think it was one of those situations where maybe they all felt as if they didn't stay committed to the run enough in this game.
Yeah. Defensively, Auburn had a really good day. They limited Oklahoma to only 32 yards on the ground. As you know, they held Baylor to 65. Strangely enough, Ball State -3. Ball State had the most success running the football. I'm sorry, South Alabama had the most success running the football on Auburn. But defensively, it was a really good day, except for the one blown coverage that we thought was a blown coverage. Did he mention his conversation with the referees about the illegal substitution non-call?
Yeah, that was the one he tried to stay away from. He was just like, listen, let me just not say anything on this. So it seems as if they're going to have a conversation about that this week with the officials for sure.
Yeah, same with the fumble at the beginning. All over the web.
He said what he saw on that one and what he was told. Basically, he's like, listen, saw him catch the ball, make a couple of steps, and then our guy goes and tackles him, and he rolls over on top of him. The ball pops out. But they were told it was an incomplete pass. He did not complete a football move all the way to the ground.
I know this had to be fun. The atmosphere in Norman looked ridiculous. A sea of red, a little too close to crimson for me and Logan. But
disgusting.
What was the environment like? I thought Auburn acquitted themselves well in hostile territory.
Yeah, so let me just say this. There were a lot of puckered whats in this stadium. Like, I think Oklahoma thought they were just going to run through Auburn, and it didn't happen that way. And there was a lot of nervous people in here. So so the way the press box is set up here, at most stadiums, but like the coaches are directly beneath us. And it's clear the Oklahoma coaches were right below where we were. And every time there was a big play, you could hear them banging on the table. It was the most annoying thing in the world.
Oh, man. Yeah, for them to bang on the table about Auburn. Ike, before we get you out of here, as I mentioned, a lot of Oklahoma fans were, I think, overconfident about what they thought Jackson Arnold would be in this game based on what he was last year at Oklahoma. I saw a Jackson Arnold that handled the pressure fairly well. Like, he was juiced up on some throws, but I don't know if he doesn't do that same thing at home. What was your assessment of Jackson Arnold today?
It was uneven, right? Like, there were some situations where, of course, he was holding the ball entirely too long and making, I think he's been talked to so much about trying not to overdo it with his legs. And the first few times he tried to escape the pocket, they were sitting on it. So he was just like, okay, let me be a little bit more patient. So he did hold the ball a little bit too much sometimes. But man, the drive that they went down and scored to take the lead, he made some big plays, stepping up in the pocket, throwing, on a big third down conversion. I think, third or fourth down, I can't remember which one it was now, but I saw poise from him in a lot of instances where he was constantly under pressure, 10 sacks by this Oklahoma defense. And he just kept bouncing back up and figuring out ways to go out there and make plays. Unfortunately, he was about 2 plays short of where he needed to be, right? Like, if you make the throw to Cam Coleman, I think this is a very different ball game. A couple of throws to Cam Coleman, it's a different ball game. Refs aside, Auburn had their opportunities to win this football game, and Jackson Arnold finished the game fairly well. That last drive, though, he took those sacks at the end. The offensive line didn't help him out at all with a couple of false starts and giving up the big sacks.
I'll say this. I hope they learned today, just throw Cam the ball. The only way they could stop Cam today was to interfere with him. That was it.
No,
He got
Cam Coleman, that young man that was a true freshman that was going up against him, that was child abuse. He was out there abusing that dude consistently.
He was a grown man on the field. Ike, final words. Any last thoughts here before we let you go?
Not really. I'm looking forward to getting into the film on this and really kind of parsing out what happened, particularly with some of the pass protection. I'll say Jeremiah Cobb looked really good in the touches that he had, and Damari Alston did not look like he was feeling any ill effects of whatever. So he was running tough. So again, I think Auburn has some things to build off of, but they have to clean up the self-inflicted stuff. You remove the self-inflicted stuff, even with whatever you have from the officials, Auburn walks away with a win in this.
Yeah, can't agree. One of the quiet ones that not enough people are talking about, the errant snap to Hudson Cock that ended up leading to
it started with, I don't know why Malcolm Simmons fields that punt to begin with to start that drive. The ball is floating into the end zone. You just let that fall. And then, you start the drive backed up, you move it a little bit, and then you get the snap issue. That drive was a disaster from the very beginning.
Yeah. Lots of things to clean up on film there. Ike Jones, co-host, show owner at the War Report. Appreciate you, man, for making the trip. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the weekend.
I'm gonna be on the road, brother. I don't know if we'll make the show tomorrow.
or that.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, peace.
Let's bring back in Caesar here. I'm going to finish out some supers, and then we'll get Dustin from the Uptempo back in here. King Tizzle says, what's the chance Cam leaves after the season? No chance. He's going to stick with it. You're muted, Caesar.
He's not. I don't foresee him going anywhere.
He ain't going nowhere. I got inside information on this one. He's good. DL Lee 92 says Singleton was getting open all day out the slot on the routes, but Jackson Arnold would try to scramble away and get sacked outside of the refs. We beat ourselves. He's got to see the field. They've stacked the deck in talent around you. You've got to find those guys, man. It is super demoralizing to run up and down the field and just not have the QB throw you the ball. Aaron Collier says 13 penalties, 10 sacks, and awful officiating. I'm surprised we did as well as we did. I think that's how talented Auburn is. Got talent everywhere, man. They have raised the talent level. A. says there was a lot of good to take from that. We could have had a pity party when they didn't get calls, but hung in there. Last possession was hard to watch. In it at the end. Next week isn't going to be any easier with a rested A&M off a bye. Yep, such is life in the SEC, man. A great comment here. I want Auburn fans to focus on the positives from this game. We knew they were going to lose at least some of the next three. So if this is the medicine that they have to take in a close loss at Norman to go give A&M hell next week and then welcome Georgia to Jordan-Hare after a bye week, I'll take it. If somehow they can manage two of the next three, this loss isn't going to feel that bad. Wardam PJM needed to stretch them more to the sideline to sideline. Yeah, there was they stretched them on the late touchdown on Malcolm Simmons. Great call. I just thought they were
Austin 15-yard run, which was the first run. It was a 15-yard run, and Auburn still had -2 rushing yards.
Yeah, right.
It came on the perimeter. So, and
they called that out.
Defense.
Logan, they called that out. They said, hey, use all this speed and get to the perimeter. Just a lot of stuff up the middle that just had no chance of working. Alan Berry says Oklahoma may have the best D-line in the country, but that's no excuse for giving up 10 sacks. There are other really good D-lines in this conference. Agreed. Some of those on Jackson, some of them on play calling, some of them on the offensive line. I think it was a good mix out there. Philip Coleman, I feel personally that not having a true OC as is starting to hold us back. You get a play, I get a play, and the fans call the play is getting old AF. Yeah, I've questioned that for a while now. Heavy says, okay, exposed tonight. I feel better about Texas A&M now than before the game. This is a really good defense. I know I keep saying this. I'm going to keep saying until I'm blue in the face. There was no chance this was going to be a shootout. And my initial feeling about this game was Oklahoma 21, Auburn 17. Oh, Auburn, and then I revised it to 24-21 Auburn. But I thought Auburn would get that extra touchdown, and the refs stole it from them on that fumble. They stole it from them. They hit 24 with that score, man. It was, I don't know what to say about that.
You had opportunity to go beyond that. You could have gotten, if things had gone right, you can always talk about ifs. Auburn could have hit the 30 piece on them if you got 31 points.
Absolutely. Jamal Pie says, to be honest, mistimed that ball, but glad we got the PI. Yeah, because I'm telling you, on the one that it was mistimed on the one deep middle, but it was still pass interference. He practically grabbed him by the waist. Now we know why it didn't get called, because the referee needs to do some more laps. He was trying to get out of the way, and he wasn't even looking at the play that was 2 yards from him. But that's no excuse, man. Somebody's got to call that. I'm sorry, man. I is it just me, or is that one that they should be able to call down from Birmingham? And be like, look, you weren't looking, but we got you. This was pass interference.
Right.
Yeah. Or one of the other handful of officials who were watching the same play could have thrown a flag.
Oh, my goodness.
There's no reason to get that one missed. But
well, yeah, because he tackled him by the waist. So you don't even need to be close to him to see that.
Yeah.
Right. Wild, man. Lee Harrell, how many PI no calls? Oh, my God. I think there were at least 3.
I think I counted about 3 or 4, maybe.
3 or 4, yeah. The Headless Horseman, don't even talk to me right now. He is in his Auburn emo phase. Just leave him alone. Cleveland Brown, this was a Murphy's Law game for an ambitious Auburn. What could go wrong did go wrong. But I'm telling you, I saw an Auburn team, Oklahoma fans, come to these comment sections and admit you were worried. Admit this Auburn team was better than you thought they were. How many times did we see in the comments 38-7, 40-3? Like, these ridiculous scores that I'm like, no, man, this is going to be a one-score game. It was always going to be a one-score game. I don't understand it. Cleveland, thank you for being a member for 48 months, by the way. 4 years with us. Heavy says, this is the best Auburn team I've seen in 5 years. I'm confident we'll be successful this season. Look, they should be able to go get 8. You know, and if there are an extra 2 out there, Auburn's going to make the playoffs. I think Oklahoma's in the playoffs. Honestly, I don't see a lot of teams slowing them down the way Auburn did today. Ben Bloodworth, can we talk about the illegal picks? OU's OC is a cheater.
Now, that's one thing that the refs did get right. They call that every time.
Yeah, he is a cheater for sure. And Sherman Sawyer says Cam was cooking that DB. Let Cam eat. Unstoppable. Cam Coleman was unstoppable today. If you learn anything, you know you've learned, just throw him the ball. He's going to go make plays for you. So not a lot of defenses are going to be able to limit Auburn the way they were today. They're not. I don't know if Auburn will face another defense that will shut their run game down the way Oklahoma did today. They are as advertised, but so was Auburn's defense. And for all intents and purposes, they played them to a stalemate, and then the refs were the difference. They played Oklahoma to a stalemate defensively on the road, except for that Auburn's defense scored a touchdown, and it was taken from them. I don't know what else to say. They went out and got another turnover. Auburn didn't turn the ball over in this game.
No.
Another game with no turnovers for Auburn. They have 1 turnover 4 games into the season. That might be one of the best turnover rates in the country. They said Jackson Arnold was going to throw interceptions and fumble. He didn't do either in this game. Had a couple almost interceptions, but hey.
Yeah.
They didn't get them.
Didn't happen.
So we can't count them. Look, I'm going to get out of here. Caesar's going to take this home for you guys. Dustin from Uptempo is going to jump back in. War Eagle guys, thank you for joining the live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the weekend tailgate.
See you, Mike. All right. And guys, if you see anything, comments you want to flag, be my guest. But any thoughts? Were you curious? I'll start with you. Were you curious about the usage of Cobb? Cobb had that big run and was averaging, after that big run, he was averaging 10 yards a carry. Are you surprised that Hugh didn't go back to him at a few points in the second half?
Yeah, look, I I didn't like the QB draw on first down after 3 or 4 times. It was like, hey, buddy, this isn't going to work. And Logan made the point earlier about why did you not go back to Cobb after that big run? And honestly, I felt the whole time. I said, hey, if the refs will get out of the way late, Auburn's going to win this football game. It was after that Cobb big run, and then you went away and you went to the pass and you missed a wide open receiver, and then you shanked the field goal. That's when everything came back from the last couple of years. And I said, you know what? Nope, not yet. We haven't changed that culture that me and you talk about all the time yet, Caesar. There were a lot of good things that I take away from today. I think there's a lot of good things that Auburn can learn. I thought Damari probably should have got the ball a little bit more. Obviously, we've been on here, so I haven't heard Hugh's postgame yet. I made mention of maybe on some of those Cobb was supposed to get the ball, and Jackson made the decision to pull out and pass on the RPO. So
a few of those myself,
yeah. So we'll go back and we'll watch Ike's film breakdown. I'll go back and see what Hugh had to say in the post game about that. That's an important factor to remember. Look, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to say this. We're going to be live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on the Uptempo podcast. So join me then. I'm not going to move the goalpost, guys. I said all summer that I'm cool. Like 8-4 is where I want Auburn to be, and I'll be happy with. If 9-3, anything else, like to me, that's even, obviously, let's go. I didn't see anything today that made me think Auburn can't attain that. And I have been lock and step with what Mike has said about if you beat Baylor, which Auburn did, then you just win one of these next 3 games in this really tough stretch. You get to 4-2. Where it opens up for you. And that's, look, I know Vanderbilt's playing better. I know, Taylor Green can make plays at Arkansas, but I don't even know if Sam Pittman's going to be their coach coming in after this, this week. After that tough loss right there, man, up 28-10. Like, I don't know what happens to them. So that program might be falling apart. Kentucky is the worst team in the SEC. I stand by what Mike says on that. And I feel even more so. I went live last night and I said, hey, if Auburn loses a rock fight, close game, where a few plays may have made the difference, tomorrow, don't hit the panic button, because this Oklahoma defense is the best defense that Auburn's going to play the rest of the year. I fully believe that. I believe it even more today. And I saw a lot from Auburn that makes me think this Auburn team can get to 8-4, can get to 9-3. I've seen nothing that's moved me off of that. There's a lot of positives. What I will say is if you go into A&M next week and you drop another close game where it feels like you should have won, then we're going to start having these culture conversations again about, hey, can you pull out these close games that are the big time games? Because look, I fully, y'all know I've called out Hugh when I felt it necessary. Like, the officials were the difference in today's game. I'm going to say it again. No team's ever going to play a perfect game. You can always go back and look and say, well, Jackson should have made this throw. This should have been better. That should have been better. Absolutely. If this game is officiated fairly, Auburn comes, or just the way that it should have been. And for the Oklahoma fans that are listening and thinking I might be whining, I didn't want to see 9 penalties called on y'all. I don't want to watch games where there's 13 penalties on one team and 9 penalties on the other team. Let's play some football here, okay? No one's here to see you guys dictate the game. And Logan makes a perfect point. How is that not a catch? And then later on, that is a catch on the sideline. Like, we've got to get some consistency here. All in all, I think that as we're now a quarter of the season in, right? We were our first 4 games in. I think this Auburn football team is a good football team. I think the defense can shut down the run and force teams to pass. And I think that the secondary is solid. They have their best performance of the day. I think that they can continue to play well. I see a lot from K'Ron Crawford. Jared Smith, this young man is a football player, guys. He can play some football. And all in all, I've seen Hugh Freeze kind of taking what the defense gives him type thing. Hey, perfect. He had a perfect play call to Cam Coleman. The quarterback didn't make the throw. So my big question moving forward now, and it's going to determine Hugh Freeze's future at Auburn. You're going to have more of these close games, and they're probably going to be the next 2 weeks. Your next 2 games are probably going to be tight games in the second half. Can you finally find a way at Auburn to get over that hump? Because at some point, the officials and all that stuff becomes excuses. Can you find a way to actually win these kind of games and get over the hump? So that for me will be the big question moving forward. There's a lot to take away from this game and like for Auburn. I feel good about a lot that I've seen, but also like there were some obvious weaknesses, like special teams got to be cleaned up. And again, we're in year 3 of Hugh Freeze, so I'm not like putting this loss on him or anything like that. But those losses of like, hey man, it feels like we should have won this one. They're really starting to stack up on one side. So he's going to have to start finding some wins in some of these games. And I'm going to make my prediction right now. Auburn's going to go into College Station next weekend and get a big win.
Dustin of the Up Tempo, appreciate you being with us, sir. Definitely
man.
go to his page, subscribe to him, and check in with him as he reviews this game on his
9 a.m.
page.
tomorrow, Central Time. War
Yes.
damn Eagle, y'all.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
Later, Logan.
Logan, we're going to grab some of the